Hi there and welcome back. Today we continue our exploration of letting go. What we need to get out of our way, what hijacks the healing that we work so hard for, and one of the essential practices for achieving core resilience, the strength, energy, and adaptability that we must have to successfully manage all of life's challenges and to feel and be our very best, opening us to all of our possibilities. That's what's at stake here. Letting go is really all about receiving, isn't it? Because when we let go of the shit, the muck, the toxins, the distractions, the toxic people and habits, we're free and open and available to receive what we need. And we have the energy to do what we need and want to do. So this is why I put letting go as the number 3 on our list of the core resilience domains. Immediately after presence, our present moment awareness and being our witness, and self-compassion, to always hold ourselves in compassion and safety. So let's recall the letting go categories that we're focusing on. Toxins and irritants, all about the environmental and food toxins that we covered in our last video. Negative energy and distraction, which is today's content. Disempowering stories, next video, and trauma. Today, to heal, we must let go of negative energy and distraction. Why? You know the answer, right? Negative energy and distraction suck our souls right out of our bodies, don't they? They deplete us of energy and attention and joy while they scramble our brains. I've had very sick and exhausted clients completely recover by tending to just these aspects of their daily lives. So this is profoundly important. First, what are examples of negative energy and distraction that we're all familiar with and likely deal with to some extent on a daily basis? Emotionally toxic people. Let's put this up on the board. Negative energy and distraction. So, emotionally toxic people who feed off of us, who manipulate and lie to us, who want our energy, who take and don't give back. We all have these. Toxic information, news. It's not just toxic in its gratuitous negativity and manipulation, but it distracts us from what's also good in the world. And we can also get loads of this from social media, podcasts, and the myriad sources of information we consume. All attempts to multitask. Are you shocked? Wait till you hear the science on this. Distracted driving, a form of multitasking where there's more at stake. Texting, even at stoplights. They're always the ones who keep sitting there after the light has turned green, right? Talking on the phone, even hands-free while driving. Sorry, the science is clear. Technological distraction. Social media, so addicting, right? Email and texting. The pressure to always be available and respond. Clutter. Environmental distraction that hijacks our attention and energy. Time pressure, so lethal. I think letting go of these types of roadblocks to healing, negative energy and distraction, can be far trickier than removing environmental toxins and irritant foods. And here's why. Once you learn about the latter, identify them in your life, they can easily be sent on their way, right? Now, maybe we should make an exception for sugar and those processed grains that can be a challenge because we use them as drugs, and they are drugs physiologically. They soothe a multitude of sins and sadness, right? But none of this is easy. No change is easy. All change is mourning, and that we've well established. And the negative energy and distractions in our lives often are there because of trauma. And looking closely at them and working with them can lead us directly to where we suffer, hurt, or don't feel like we're enough. So today, let's dig into how negative energy and distraction hijacks our healing capacity. And as we do, check in with yourself. What comes up for you? What rings true? What feelings or sensations do you experience? These are clues about what needs your attention the most. How does negative energy and distraction hijack our healing? Okay? It does so by depleting and or overwhelming our energy, our focus and attention, and our ability to see our possibilities. And let's face it, these are everything. What's left when our energy, attention, and ability to see our possibilities is gone? That's right, we stay stuck. These things have got to go if we're to heal. Okay. Emotionally toxic people, all right? We all have them in our lives, and we all know exactly who they are. Our bodies know. We may not want to admit it because sometimes we protect the people who are the most toxic for us. These are the people who you may want to love, you may believe you should love, but you don't. And your body clenches every time they get near you or you hear their voice. Or you do truly love them, but you know their presence depletes you. You can feel it when they're near you or when you think about them. It's incredibly important that you understand this. These feelings are your body's wisdom. They're your gut feelings. How your body lets you know unequivocally and with stunning accuracy when you're in the presence of someone who is toxic to you. So accept what you know. Don't make it wrong. It may be uncomfortable, and it almost always is, but it's not your fault. Their being toxic is not about you, it's about them. But your discomfort and what you do about it is entirely your responsibility 100%. Your life and well-being depend on you trusting and acting upon your gut feelings. What to do? First, understand some of these folks need to be gotten rid of. There's no upside to their presence in your life. The gossipy, backstabbing friend who only cares about themselves, send them packing and don't look back. Your mom or dad or sibling who you feel an obligation to keep the peace with or take care of or suffer for, though they suck the light and life right out of your soul, this is harder, but honor these feelings too. Trust them and don't make them wrong. Take the necessary steps you need to reclaim your space, your peace, your ability to be your whole self, maybe to find your whole self for the first time. If you lose energy in the presence of another, you are at risk, and only you can fix this. And there's really no peaceful or passionate or compassionate way to handle them. You don't have to be mean, but you have to use strong words like no, or stop, or go away, or I need my space. We use our powerful words to create the boundaries that we need, and we take strong action. This might mean staying away, no calls, whatever it takes to create the space you need to heal. And remember, boundaries are for us to protect our energy and strength and precious resources from being fed on by someone else. They're also for others. They need our boundaries too. It shows them where to stop, and it's our responsibility to teach them. It also teaches them what's possible for them, that they can see and set their own boundaries as well. People who break boundaries have weak boundaries themselves. They let others feed on them too. So I'm recalling that beautiful quote by Marianne Williamson from her famous book, A Return to Love, which I think is very applicable to what we're talking about here. And it goes like this: you are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So that's what we do when we create boundaries between us and others. We let our own light shine. We show others how it's done. Now, there will be backlash. There will be hurt feelings. There will be discomfort. There will be major disruption in the status quo of your relationship, perhaps your whole family. If this is the price for your authenticity and to reclaim your energy and all your possibilities, it's entirely worth it. Work with someone who can help you understand why you feel the way you feel, how to honor it all, how to do what is necessary, all the hard things to heal. And rule of thumb, if you have difficulty knowing what to do or following through on what you know regarding a toxic person in your life, the problem that you need to work on first may be yourself and the trauma that made you not trust what you know and act on it accordingly. Toxic information. Gratuitously or excessively negative and manipulative news or marketing. Even if the news is true, well vetted by the news outlet, fair, as unbiased as possible, it's still manipulative and unnecessarily overtly negative, because that's what sells news, because that's what most people want and are attracted to. In that regard, it's marketing, it's biased, it's manipulative, no matter the source. And we must protect ourselves from it, or excesses of it. What happens when we marinate ourselves in news as many of us are likely to do because it's addictive and prolific as hell, what happens? We start to believe it's a terrible world. What does this do to us? It poisons our minds. We forget there are good and wonderful aspects to our world as well. Our nervous systems become fully activated to our experience and understanding of this terrible world we believe we live in. We respond neurologically to the trauma that goes on in our minds to the same extent we do the trauma that takes place in our homes or backyards. Toxic information leads to biological trauma. Persistently marinating in toxic information means we are persistently traumatized, persistently activated towards fight, flight, or freeze, persistently in the mindset that the world is a terrible place. This is a sure way to feel pessimistic, hopeless, despairing, and struggle to engage our creative imaginations to envision a new and better world. Persistent exposure to news keeps us stuck. What can you do? Be absolutely vigilant about the news you expose yourself to. Consciously plan when to expose yourself to news. I highly recommend you never start the day with it. When you first awaken, your mind is more malleable and vulnerable. Set a positive and productive tone for the day through some other activity that allows you to experience something good, inspiring, and encouraging. Save the news for later. Take news fasts. I strongly encourage everyone to take weeks at a time with no news exposure to reset your minds and spirits. So, what else shall we let go of? Multitasking. All attempts to multitask. I know. And I can see you looking at me aghast, like I'm crazy. It's impossible. The neuroscience is clear. The human brain is designed to do one thing at a time well. The more we try to do, the less well we do everything. This is a problem when we're engaged in complicated tasks or when someone's life depends on what we're doing, or if we're trying to connect to others in a deep and meaningful way. In addition, multitasking is demanding and stressful, and we become neurologically activated in terms of our autonomic nervous system's stress trauma responses. And don't we all know this from our own experience with multitasking? Aside from those complex tasks we're well practiced at and become proficient in, our art, music, athletics, and so forth, that's another story for another time. So, as an example, I absolutely refuse to use or answer my phone or receive any kind of notifications while driving or shopping. It's freaking stressful. I'm not able to focus my attention on what I'm supposed to be doing, driving, picking out produce, talking to the checkout person, when I'm on my phone. Driving especially demands my full attention, and I feel a strong responsibility to drive well and keep myself, my passengers, and others on the road safe. The studies are clear. Driving while talking on the phone, even hands-free, is as dangerous as driving drunk, period. These studies are out there, but most people don't know about them and don't especially want to know about them. And other studies show that people are surprisingly poor at self-assessment. We don't realize our ability to drive well and safely is compromised when we talk on the phone. How about listening to someone speak to you while texting or scrolling through a social media feed? Now, I can't possibly attend to what someone is saying to me and really hear it, process it, and remember it while distracted with something else, even something simple and ordinary. And who wants to be at the receiving end of a distracted person? We really want them to hear us. Okay, so this is both bad and good news. The bad news is most people try to multitask every day a great deal of the time, which means most people are not functioning at their full potential. This is a fact, and they're more stressed than they need to be. Unwinding this problem to become better learners and more competent performers at everything means having to slow down, keep things simple, and do one thing at a time, aka be present. And we circle back to our first domain of core resilience and that vital thread that runs through all self-care, all self-healing, all efforts to unleash our possibilities. Presence. Become your witness. Technological distraction. So we've touched on this, but it goes much deeper than electronic news and multitasking. We now know for a fact that all your social engagement apps, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, etc., email and texting are designed to hook you, to grab your attention, to pull you in, to keep you engaged, all while mining your personal data. And they work. It is now the expectation that you will respond, and quickly, to all attempts to contact you via email and text. It's become the corporate norm to operate within the chaos of constant electronic conversation and demands on people's attention and time. It is also a norm to never turn these pathways into our consciousness off. It's just accepted. And so many people get stuck in this trap. The ramifications? Total freaking overwhelm. Too much information coming in all the time. Constant interruption and distraction. Constant attempts to multitask. Every time you stop what you're doing to check an email or text or send an email or text, you have to shift gears. Your mind has to stop processing what you were already doing and refocus on the new task. Once the new task is finished, you have to stop processing that task, shift gears back to what you were doing, and try to get back into the flow of your task. If you are constantly responding to emails and texts, you're never allowing yourself to sink into your tasks and get into the rhythm and flow you need to perform them well. The cost? Loss of productivity. And I've seen estimates in the billions of dollars for lost revenue due to inefficient workflow practices. Loss of self-esteem and self-worth because of the lost productivity and creativity, working at a level far below than one's potential. My suggestion? Have a plan for your day, a to-do list written out with time parameters for each task. Schedule all your communication app checks and stick to that schedule unless it's an emergency. Turn off your app notifications during work and creative time. Better yet, turn them off. Plan meetings with coworkers in advance and stick to a set schedule. No impromptu meetings whenever someone wants your attention. And have a clear agenda with time parameters. Write the agenda down and watch the clock or set a timer. End on time no matter what. So I check email twice daily. And the first check is not until I've completed my morning self-care of meditation and exercise. I set the tone for my day first and I make it all about me. Then I check in on what the world wants from me. Clutter, the piles of books and papers on the desk, the piles of clothes on your bedroom floor, the endless stuff that accumulates in all our living spaces. So look around at it. It has its own energy. You know how you feel when you walk into one of those rooms or when your desk is piled high with papers and books needing your attention or just collecting. We also know how it feels to purge a crowded closet and get rid of what we no longer need. It's exhilarating. Spaciousness, we can breathe. We all feel this in our bodies even when we're not consciously attending to it. Clutter is stressful. How? Well, clutter looks bad. It assaults our senses with unpleasantness. It overwhelms our senses. It's mental multitasking, making us useless or at least less effective for other tasks. It leads directly to lost productivity. It hijacks our creativity and flow. It leads to overwhelm, confusion, and anxiety. Clutter causes us to lose our precious things. It's disorganization. So clutter is environmental distraction that hijacks our attention and our energy. Think of this as environmental chaos that forces our senses to multitask because it draws our attention away from what we're trying to focus on. So 5 simple ways to deal with clutter in your home and workspaces. Take no prisoners. 1 room at a time, 1 space at a time, 1 drawer at a time. Remember the rule of small. Scrutinize every object and ask it 2 simple questions. Do I need it? Or do I love it? Or, a la Marie Kondo, does it bring me joy? If the answers are no, out it goes on the spot. Trash, recycling, donation box. Ignore all sentimentality or worries about what it cost. Only what you truly need or love gets to stay. The rest is distraction and unnecessary. Pass it on to someone who can really use it. Deal with all those gifts and family heirlooms and be honest with yourself about how you actually feel about them in spite of the love with which they may have been offered or the value to your ancestors. This is about you, what you love, what you need, what you want to have in your space. Without the love, they're just things sucking your soul. Remove these non-precious things from your life. Then scrutinize your workspace. The clutter here may be the reason you're unable to maintain traction, enthusiasm, energy, or creativity for the projects you really need to get done. Carefully evaluate your desk and surrounds. What's there? How does it make you feel? Start there. Schedule your decluttering time. Make it an essential part of your workday. Clear it out, clean it out, organize it. And then rearrange your stuff. Sometimes it's the arrangement rather than the stuff itself that's distracting. Can you move things so the room feels more open? Is there a place where you sit or stand that needs reconfiguring? Is there no place in your home that's all for you? Create it. Claim a room, make it all yours. And deal with color and texture. These can be distractions as well if they're unpleasant or irritating to you. Which colors and textures help you? All right. Finally, time pressure. Okay, I see this as 2 problems. First, we perceive we don't have enough time to prioritize our own needs. Second, we measure our success by how much we get done within a given time period. Both drive suffering. We don't take care of our own basic needs and become completely depleted and overwhelmed, or we grind to get it all done and either get it all done, feel successful and accomplished, but at the expense of becoming depleted and overwhelmed. But we may not feel it because this kind of success has become our drug to soothe how unworthy we feel. Or 2, we don't get it all done and feel like complete failures. All these experiences, when allowed to persist, lead to pain, suffering, and illness, like fatigue, depression, anxiety, insomnia, body pain, body fat gain, high blood pressure, vascular heart disease, diabetes, autoimmune disorders, hormone imbalances, enhanced susceptibility to infections, heightened feelings of unworthiness and failure. And worse, in my opinion, the most tragic outcome of persistent time pressure is loss of personal potential, loss of creative genius that we all have, and loss of living lives filled with joy and pleasure and purpose. How does time pressure lead to so much suffering and lost potential? Persistent stress physiology activation. When we're persistently time pressured, we get stuck in hypervigilant, survival-focused autonomic nervous system activation. This is the part of our nervous system that's designed to keep us out of harm's way through fight, flight, or freeze. Magnificent in the short run when our lives are truly on the line, but dangerous when persistently activated. Your body thinks it's fighting for its life, and it is. It pulls out all the stops to keep you alive. Depletion of vital internal resources. This happens through persistent survival-oriented biology. These processes are energy and resource expensive. This shifts us toward an equilibrium of energy and resource debt that lands us in suffering and illness. Neglect of vital self-care habits. It's very common to neglect other essentials in favor of what feels like survival, putting everyone's needs before our own and burning the candle at both ends. Many of us hedge on healthy eating, sleep, rest, movement, play, connection, essential components to the core resilience that keeps us feeling healthy and vibrant, and to accessing our full potential. We have two basic stories to reckon with. I don't have time, and gotta get it all done at all costs. And we've all told these stories, haven't we? And it feels entirely true when we do. But let's not fool ourselves. These are stories we tell. They're not based on the facts. They're not based on what we truly need. They are, in fact, narratives planted there by a world that thrives on hustle and self-neglect, or they're adopted at an early age to keep us alive, to feel worthy and successful, to meet our primary needs for connection and belonging. Let's make this our jumping off point for today's timeout practice. Okay, so let's work on unwinding our narratives about time to unleash our potential. This is a practice, and let's just take a few moments to do this together. So, as always, I'm going to take a quick sip. Find yourself a comfy seat, settle in, feel your body against the chair, notice your feet resting against the floor, and breathe. Acknowledge the stories. I don't have time and gotta get it all done at all costs are stories we tell. They may be our adopted truths, but they're not our truest truths. Accept 100% responsibility for your stories. They may have been planted there by a world that thrives on overwork, competition, comparing, and shaming, or by the primary impulse to survive and feel worthy as a young child, but they are 100% ours to deal with now. Don't make your time pressure stories wrong. They may not be your truest truth, but these stories have served vital functions: self-acceptance, belonging, success as a human being, success as a parent, you name it. Who doesn't want all this? At some point, they serviced our survival. But these stories are no longer needed for survival and get in the way of accessing our potential as humans. Attune to the story you tell. Be your witness. Be present to the story. Name it. I don't have time. Got to get it all done at all costs. How does it feel in your body? What emotions or sensations come up for you? Tightness in your chest, impatience, fear, frustration, anxiety. Breathe space around whatever you experience. Hold them all in the deepest compassion for how they have served you. Use your powerful words to speak gratitude for them. Murmur your gratitude. Thank you for keeping me alive. Thank you for serving my needs at one time. Continue to breathe until you feel the shift inside you. Maybe just a little opening for something new and more supportive of you to emerge. Tell a new story. What is it? I always have time for what I care about. I do my best and balance all my efforts with what I truly need to nourish myself. I am worthy of my time, attention, and care. I am worthy of rest. Notice how your new story feels. Scary, empowering, impossible. Whatever your emotions or sensations, trust them, welcome them. Breathe in compassion and gratitude. Then support your new story with 1 to 3 baby steps to create more time. Finally, as you go about the business of living your new story about time, consider the distractions that sap your time, attention, and energy every day, like news consumption, falling into the rabbit hole of social media. Whoa, those hours can fly by. Email and phone checking and clutter. Can you let some of that go to literally free up space and time you need for the important things? Choose 1 to 3. My favorites. Keep clutter in my work and living spaces to a minimum. This reduces environmental distraction that easily hijacks my attention and increases stress, both time sappers. Place strict limits on news and social media consumption. These are addictive, time and energy sapping, disempowering, bottomless pits that need our conscious control. And place strict limits on checking emails, texts, and other notifications. These are pervasive and dangerous distractions that greatly reduce our productivity and time availability. I check my email twice daily and keep my phone notifications off. Then repeat all these steps as necessary. You and me are always works in progress. My mantra, which I'll leave you with, I always have time for what I care about and consciously make room for. So breathe into that. And once again, thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for joining me in our healing life. And I'll be back again soon with part 3 of letting go. We'll talk about letting go of disempowering stories. So what are some of yours? Share them in the comments below or feel free to email me. And then go about your day and your week in gorgeous compassion for yourself and how hard you work. I'm grateful for you. Take care. Bye.